Squat day is on, and sometimes I do feel the itch of going up in weight before the end of the progression. And everything is always arbitrary. I decided to start it a rep range that was between 4 and 6 and just go up in weight only when I was going to perform 2 sets of 6. I probably would be able to do that right now, but I also imposed another limit on the way that I was going to progress on the squats because I have experienced in the past that going too quickly, at least in my personal experience, is just reducing the time between the me right now and the next plateau that then grinds the progress to a halt, or at least a slowdown that then is not very nice. So I would rather hold my horses a little bit and move slowly through the progression and see how long I can push this for, rather than giving in to the instinct of always going heavier and harder and be disappointed in the end. And so the other boundary that I gave myself was just to go up 1 rep every week. And this is just the result of previous experience, noticing that if I stay within 1 or 2 reps in reserve on most sets at the end of the progression, I am then able to kind of move week by week by at least 1 repetition, and that seems to elicit enough of an adaptation that at the point where I'm performing 2 sets at the top of the rep range that I've given myself, I am then able to go back down in weight and up in weight and down in repetitions and progress through that without necessarily getting to a point where I am really pushing top intensity and 0 reps in reserve, which I've noticed it is probably my preferred way to train, but it is also not very conducive to slow and somewhat steady progress. I understand also that progress is not a linear development. I do feel that sometimes I'm performing better than the week before, and others I had done before the previous time. And this kind of takes that into account, the oscillating nature of performance, even when I am trying to put all the parameters in a way that I think that I have enough control that I can see where I'm going roughly. And that I mostly try to apply to basically every exercise that I perform, at least loaded exercises. Plyo and jumping is slightly different. I was kind of mentioning that in the previous video that I uploaded, but strength wise, especially lower body wise, I would like to stay within a low-ish rep range and try to push as heavy weights as I can within that specific movement. And then there are other exercises where I feel like going a bit higher in the rep range and leaning more towards that hypertrophic benefit that higher time and attention provides is also beneficial, and it's something that I am kind of applying more towards the upper part of the body. Lower part, I feel like the more explosive benefit that strength training is able to provide is within low rep ranges, and it's not something that I have discovered. It seems to be well established in the training community, especially mostly actually in regards to sports and athletic performance. The main part of the bodybuilding community isn't really interested in that stuff, and so I take from them what I can that I feel is beneficial, but then I will always try to be as performant as I can with regards to the lower part of the body. And I was going up in weight finally on the back extension, so I was doing 30 kilos, and since I was coming from sets of 12 with 25 kilos, I went back down to doing sets of 8. And as I am recording this voiceover and thinking about what I just said about keeping towards slightly lower rep ranges on lower body focused movements, I am getting the idea of going down on the back extensions as well. I feel like that exercise specifically, as well as the any hip hinge, any Romanian deadlift, any stiff leg deadlift, would be maybe slightly more beneficial with a bit heavier weight and more bracing and a heavier stretch on the hamstrings for lower rep ranges. And since I am really focusing on getting as much strength as I can in that lower part of the body, I might actually be staying for a couple of weeks with 30 kilos and maybe go up to 10 repetitions, and then going up in weight again and start the progression from 6 and maybe do 6 to 10 for about a month or so. And then as the next time I'm going up in weight, go even lower and go between 4 and 8. Let me think about that. Ciao.